And if Brady wins another Super Bowl this season, now I'm like honestly calling for Belichick to be let go. And it's funny because locally, and in full disclosure, I listen to Falcon Mass, not religiously, because those two numbnuts drive me off the wall. but as a fellow radio host and broadcaster, I respect the hell of what they do, because they're damn terrific at what they do. But Tony Mass made a point on the air in which that he was teetering or at that point of which that he wants Belichick gone. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad at you. I'm actually with you, because again, how long are we going to give Belichick the leash of? Well, he won 6 Super Bowls. No, Brady, and also parts of your system, the defensive side of the ball, not offense. The offense wasn't you.
No.
Let's be honest. The first half of the dynasty.
My opinion was
you can thank Charlie Weiss for that.
Yeah, Bill won the first 3. Brady won us the second 3.
Charlie Weiss, interesting.
Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was good.
Was creative enough and smart enough to realize this is what you have in Brady.
Yeah,
but also, pardon me, but also give credit to the guys that we had during the first half of the run, like the Troy Browns of the world, the legendary Troy Brown, the Deion Branches of the world. And we talked about Corey Dillon, we talked about Kevin Falk, like we talk about, don't forget Ben Watson. I'll be wrong if I didn't mention anything about Ben Watson, because he was part of that 04 team.
Yep.
Like we had those guys, and we knew how to use the system to make it work with Brady. So I give Charlie Weiss that. Bill Belichick deserves a ton of credit for the first half of the dynasty, because those defensive teams in 03 and 04, we had the best defense in the NFL with Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Richard Seymour, Ty Law, the Hall of Famer,
Ted Johnson,
Ted Johnson.
Ty Law.
Like I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. I give him that credit. But the second half,
it's Brady. Those last 3 are all Brady.
Especially Super Bowl 49, the comeback. At the time was the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history at the time, before 51. But what made that even more meaningful, and the reason why I say it was, and I agree with it, it's Brady, is because, think about this. The Seahawks had the best defense in the league for 2 years in a row. If not the best, top 3, hands down.
Beast,
no question.
Yeah. Amazing.
They had the Legion of Boom at its height. They're up. I'm talking about the Seahawks. They're up by 10. If you guys remember the game.
Oh,
they're
God.
Up by 10 in
that
the
was
fourth
an
quarter.
amazing game. That
game was absolutely freaking incredible. And that touchdown pass from Brady to Edelman, that's Brady. That whole drive was Brady-esque.
That game was arguably better than the Falcons game, because it was back and forth. But the Falcons game was the amazing comeback. It was like the story, you know what I mean? But like as far as the game goes,
the Falcons Super Bowl, was that second half of the Falcons Super Bowl was probably some of the most impressive football I've ever watched. It was
like by far
Brady took the field on each drive, and the guy just simply would not be denied. Would not, like him he drove that. Like he drove.
He was on a
just
mission.
Listening the mic'd up stuff with him on the sidelines, just talking to the guys. We're just chip away, man.
Laser focus, let's go.
Chip away at it. You know, little by little. Even 28-3, him and Jules. I remember you listen to the mic'd up between the two of them.
NFL films,
They knew we're gonna chip away at it, and it was that mentality, that attitude is just you don't see that. Like the guy is just, he would not be denied in that Super Bowl. Would not be denied.
And you want to know what's amazing about that game in particular? And what I think about it, like that second half was by far the most incredible football that I watched as a Patriots fan in my life. It's not even close. And this is no disrespect to Super Bowl 38 against Carolina, because that was the best back and forth game that I've seen in the Super Bowl as a Pats fan, by far. like the most impressive. You talk about 38 against Carolina, the back and forth between Brady and Jake Delhomme, and then that was back when on the Panthers they had Muhsin Muhammad as well as Steve Smith. On that Ricky Prohl, the tight end as well. That was a back and forth game, but the Patriots were never down like by a substantial amount. It was just back and forth. The Patriots being the lead, the Panthers being the lead, and so forth. But 51, I remember this to this day. Like I was here in Boston. It was actually exactly 10 days before I moved here to Boston, and I was here it was the last visit for me before I moved there. But it was Super Bowl Sunday. And I remember
dart to Gronkowski in that game.
Like I wore my Gronk jersey actually, the home alternate reds, the old ones.
Yeah.
I which I still have it somewhere.
Those are slick.
I went to the now closed Whiskey's in Back Bay, and I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna miss that place so much. That place is closed it closed down because of the pandemic, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that sucks.
So I was walking in Back Bay, and I'm walking down Boylston, and at this point, I mean, I'm not sure like if you guys like live in Boston or Greater Boston. I don't know. I'm not going to assume.
I know it pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, like I walked past Copley, walking towards Whiskey's, and this nothing but Patriot fans. Like everybody's in Pat's gears. Like maybe 2.5 hours before kickoff, and I remember getting there, and I was just barely lucky to get a seat at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey's back at that time had the 25-cent wings, and it was Sunday, and it was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna take full advantage. I mean, it may end at 9:00. I'm talking about the special, but I'm not gonna say no. Hell yeah, give it to me. I'll buy lemonade on it if I got to. So I get there, and the game kicks off. I mean, we all remember the abysmal first half it was. So I remember just how quiet it got. It was just quiet, and my eyes start drifting off towards the window that's directly facing Boylston Street, and I'm like, there's no one was walking. Based on what I saw, no one was outside walking. It was just quiet. Everybody was inside, whether they were inside the apartments or like wherever bar they were at, whether they were a Back Bay Social or McGreevy's up the street, which is right across. I believe it's right across from Heinz Convention Center. So we're all watching the game, and now the second half starts, and I'm like, it's 21-3. How much worse can it get? And then when Atlanta scored and made it 28-3, I'm like, man, this really doesn't feel good. And I just remember feeling, and I remember honestly thinking, man, this is going to be awful. I mean, goodness grief, Brady is about to be 4-3 in the Super Bowl. And then when the Patriots scored and they made it 28-9, and I remember like Gostkowski had missed the extra point, and I was pissed. I was pissed. I'm yelling and screaming like, "We needed that point! What the hell are you doing?" And then the play that I remember most that changed, and I stand by this to the day that I die, is the sack and the forced fumble by Dante Hightower on Matt Ryan.
Change the game.
Change
the game.
That was the moment that I said, okay, now we have momentum. If we can somehow score in this drive after getting the ball back, we had a game now.
Yeah,
and they did. And I just remember, like, you could feel the excitement beginning to really build. It was like, oh, maybe it's not going to be as bad as we thought it was. And I had a very close friend of mine, extended family, rather. That's really what he is. He called me. He was watching the game back in New Jersey, and he was like, "Yo, Shook, I know you're in Boston right now, but are you watching this game?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna let you listen to the background." He's like, "You're at a bar somewhere." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Back Bay right now watching this game." Like, and then I remember, I remember when they tied it up. And just the explosion of you could hear the noise,
bro. The whole like you could hear the city for like it
Literally,
felt
yes.
like you could hear the
No
city for 10
exaggeration.
miles.
Everyone knew what was
within-
going to happen after they
If
tied
you
it.
were within 10 to 15 miles, you heard everybody screaming when they tied that game up. Like, wherever you were watching the game, it was like, oh my God, is this really my words were, is this really happening right now? Is this no way is this really happening? And when they won that coin toss, I said game over.
It's over. It's over.
It was
as
over.
soon as they won the coin toss,
We all knew.
Yeah,
they're done. They're done. It's done. Brady. I was like, Brady is not losing this game. Brady is not losing this game.
But then when James White ran that ball in for the Super Bowl winning touchdown, oh my God! Like my buddy calls me again, and he has maybe a 15-minute he's like, I had 15 seconds.
Yeah,
He kept quiet. I just want to hear your reaction, and we lost it. I mean, completely, utterly lost it. And I remember the celebration in Back Bay that night was just epic beyond belief, because it was like, how did we come back from 28-3 down? How? We were supposed to be buried. Like, complete, this game is over. Atlanta's gonna have their first Super Bowl, their first championship since the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Like, but I still remember like trying to walk down Boylston, and there was no walking down Boylston. There was no walking without walking into a huge mob of a crowd, like in Copley, and just, man,
that's awesome.
Just thinking about it, it's like, yo, that game brought back a lot of memories. Like, oh, for sure.
So